Hello, you guys. Let's talk about Chapter 10, Lesson 1, Lines and Planes. Can you believe we're in the last chapter we're going to do this year? Crazy. Okay, so take a look at the first vocabulary word, coplanar. Coplanar means in the same plane. Now, that doesn't help you unless you know what a plane is. I want you to imagine the room you're sitting in right now and kind of look around it and think of the walls. Each wall is a separate plane. So, for example, there could be a plane of the floor where all your carpeting is, or there could be a plane of the wall. So, if you take a look at my drawing over here, this red rectangle represents the plane of, let's say, the front wall of a building I'm looking at. See this blue? That represents the side wall of a building I'm looking at. And see the green? That represents the ceiling or the top of a building I'm looking at. So skew lines, now this is a weird thing. Skew lines have to be on different planes, so basically on different walls. And those lines are not parallel. Remember, parallel means they're right next to each other, but they never, ever, ever touch. And they also do not intersect. So take a look. I drew the line. So let's say this line was where the ceiling and the front wall intersected, like a straight line. And then this other line down here is where the side wall and the floor intersect. These two lines will never touch and they are not parallel. So that's what makes them skew. Okay, look at example 1. Use the diagram to name a pair of coplanar. That just means, remember, they're in the same plane, or it's kind of like being on the same piece of paper. So they want coplanar, in the same plane, non-intersecting lines. So if they never ever intersect, that would be parallel. And then the second thing they want us to find is a pair of skew lines. And the third thing they want us to do is find a pair of coplanars, so they're in the same plane and they intersect. Okay, so take a look at A. Find lines K and M. So see how K and M are on the same plane, like the same piece of paper, and they're drawn so they look like they'll never, ever, ever touch. They're parallel. So they're in the same plane and they are non-intersecting. For B, look at lines M and lines N. Those are skew because they are not coplanar. They're not on the same piece of paper. And they are not parallel. So the M looks like it's shooting, towards my left arm here, and N looks like it's just going, right in front of me. So they're not parallel and they don't intersect, and that's what we call skew. All right, for part C, look at lines P and N. So P and N, they're on the same piece of paper, so they're coplanar, and they do intersect. We can see they intersect right here at that point. All right, you guys, look at example 2, identifying relationships between planes. So in part A, they want us to name a pair of intersecting planes. So take a look at plane B and plane C. So plane B is like the right wall of a building or a room, and plane C is like the floor or the base. And do you see how they intersect right here at that edge? That's their intersection. And then for part B, they want to name a pair of parallel planes. So I chose F and C. So F is the top, like the ceiling, and C is the base, like the floor. And those are parallel planes, like parallel gigantic pieces of paper. Okay, take a look at example 3. They want name the line of intersection of 3 planes. So like 3 giant pieces of paper. So look at plane R is right here, and it's the darker plane. Plane Q is right here, and it's kind of medium shaded. And then plane P is the lightest plane, like a giant piece of paper. Well, they all kind of go through each other, and you see, and they intersect with this line. So we would say the intersection is line MN. It goes through the points M and N. Okay, so look at the guided practice with me. Number 1, use the diagram in example 1 to name a second pair of skew lines. So look at diagram 1, and I chose K and N. So here's line K, and here's line N. And remember, they're skew because they're on two different planes, and they never intersect, and they're not parallel. All right, take a look at number 2. Use a diagram in example 2 to name all planes that intersect plane B. So plane B here is the right side wall. So we have to list everything that runs into this wall. Well, let's start at the top, F and B. See, F is a ceiling and B is a side wall, so they intersect right here at that edge. C and B intersect, like I already mentioned, but here's the right wall and here's the floor, and they intersect right here at this edge. A and B intersect because A is the like the front here, the front of the building, and B is the side of the building, so that intersects right here at this edge. And E and B intersect. E is the back wall back here, the very back wall. It intersects with the right side wall right here at this edge. All right, and then take a look at number 3. In diagram 3, show the diagram in example 3 shows one way three planes can intersect. In what other way can three planes intersect? Well, that's the easiest way to show you is to draw a cube. So draw a square, and then from this point go back at an angle, this point go back at an angle, this point go back at an angle, and then connect the dots. And so you have something that looks like a cube. Okay, three planes can intersect as just a corner point. Because imagine, here's the front wall, here's the side wall, and here's a ceiling. And if they all intersect, boom, it would be right at this corner point, right here. And then our movie clue, write it right here in this homework box. And I want you to try to draw a picture for me. Draw a cube right here. That's going to be the movie clue.